Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into a book that supposedly created more millionaires than pretty much any other. Think and Grow Rich. And here's the thing, we're gonna hunt for the one powerful secret it's all built around.
So yeah, we're basically on a treasure hunt. Napoleon Hill himself says this secret is mentioned at least 100 times in the book. But, and this is the interesting part, he never actually names it. He says it works better when you discover it for yourself, when it's just kind of left out in the open, waiting. So are you ready? Let's go find it.
Okay, so where did this all come from?
Well, the story actually starts over a quarter century before the book was even a thing. You have this titan of industry, Andrew Carnegie, who pulls aside a young reporter, Napoleon Hill, and gives him this incredible challenge. He says, I want you to spend the next 20 years studying the most successful people on Earth, figure out what makes them tick, and then create a formula that anyone can use. What a proposition, right?
And you gotta understand, Hill didn't just sit in a library and theorize. No, he went out and interviewed over 500 of the biggest names of his time. We're talking Henry Ford, the guy who put the world on wheels, Thomas Edison, the genius inventor, John D. Rockefeller, even presidents like Theodore Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson. And what he found was incredible. He realized they all shared this one common mindset, this powerful secret that they were all using to build their fortunes.
All right, so let's start digging for clues. Our first one is wrapped up in this amazing story about a guy named Edwin C. Barnes. Picture this. He shows up at Thomas Edison's famous laboratory, pretty much broke, with nothing to his name except for one single, incredibly powerful idea.
And this was Barnes's secret weapon. Hill calls it a burning desire. Now, this isn't just a wish, it's not a hope, it's a keen, pulsating, all-consuming desire for something so specific, so definite that it crowds out everything else. For Barnes, it was to become Edison's business partner. That was it. And that definiteness of purpose, that was literally his only asset.
So what does he do? He plays the long game. He takes some unimportant menial job in Edison's office just to get his foot in the door. And he waits for years. But the whole time, he's not just waiting. He's intensifying that desire, keeping his eyes peeled for his shot. And then it finally appears. It's a new invention, the Edison dictating machine. Nobody else believed in it. Nobody else wanted to sell it. That was the unseen opportunity he had been preparing for.
Think about that for a second. As Hill puts it, Barnes literally thought himself into a partnership with the great Edison. The starting point for his massive fortune wasn't money or connections or fancy degree. It was completely intangible. It was a thought, a powerful, focused thought.
Okay, so having a burning desire is huge, but it's not the whole secret. And that brings us to our second clue, which, interestingly enough, comes from a story about epic failure. It's a cautionary tale about quitting.
So this story is about a guy named R.U. Darby and his uncle. They head out west during the gold rush, stake a claim, and bam, they strike gold. They're pulling up ore, things are looking amazing, and then the vein of gold just disappears. It's gone. So they drill and they drill, find nothing, and eventually they just give up. They sell all their mining equipment to a junk man for a few $100 and go home to feed it. Well, you know where this is going. That junk man found the gold vein just 3 feet from where they had stopped digging.
And that's the whole point right there. Look at the difference in mindset. Darby and his uncle hit what they thought was a dead end, a temporary defeat, and they threw in the towel. The junk man, on the other hand, was smarter. Before giving up, he thought, hey, maybe I should get an expert's opinion. He brought in a mining engineer who told him exactly where to drill. That one simple decision, that was the difference between walking away with nothing and striking millions.
Now that 3-foot from gold lesson stuck with Darby for the rest of his life. He realized that for so many of those 500 successful people Hill studied, their biggest success came literally one step past the point where they felt totally defeated. So Darby took that lesson into his next career in insurance. He made a vow to himself. He would never stop just because a prospect said no. And because of that persistence, he ended up selling over $1 million in life insurance every single year, which was a staggering amount back then.
So, you can see how these stories, one about success and one about failure, are really two sides of the same coin. They're not just about making money or finding gold. They're pointing us toward a much deeper, universal truth about the incredible power we all have inside our own minds.
Here's how Hill explains it. He says, your brain basically becomes magnetized by whatever thoughts you hold in your mind most often. So if your dominant thoughts are about riches and success, you start to attract the forces, the people, the opportunities that line up with that. But, and this is crucial, It works the other way too. If you're constantly dwelling on poverty and failure, well, your mind magnetizes to attract that instead.
And this right here is what makes those famous lines from the poem Invictus so profoundly true. I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul. Why? Because if you are the master of your thoughts, and your thoughts create your reality, then you are, by extension, the master of your fate. You're the captain because you get to steer the ship of your mind.
Okay, so let's recap our clues. We've got the power of a single, focused idea, we've got the rocket fuel of a burning desire, and we've got the engine of unwavering persistence. I think we have everything we need. Let's put it all together and finally unlock Carnegie's secret.
First piece of the puzzle, it all starts with an idea. Just think about it. Every single major achievement in history, every great fortune ever built, it didn't start as a physical thing. It started as an intangible thought, an impulse in someone's mind.
But an idea on its own is powerless, right? So the next step is to fuel it. You take that idea and you give it life, you give it energy by hooking it up to a burning desire. That's what turns a casual wish into a definite purpose, just like we saw with Edwin Barnes.
And the last, absolutely critical piece? You have to sustain it. That desire-fueled idea has to be backed by unwavering, bulldog persistence. It's that grit, that refusal to accept no, that commitment to keep on digging, especially when you feel like you're just 3 feet from gold.
So, there you have it. That's the secret. It's not a magic word or some mystical incantation. It's a process. It's a formula. It's the transmutation, the changing of an intangible thought into its physical counterpart. And how do you do it? By having a definite purpose, backing it with a burning desire, and sustaining it all with relentless persistence.
And that's the big takeaway, the absolute core of this entire philosophy. All achievement, all earned riches have their beginning in an idea. It all starts in your mind. Everything you see around you, the phone in your hand, the building you're in, it was all just an idea first. The physical world is just the final result.
So you see, this secret isn't some dusty old relic just for historical figures like Carnegie and Ford. It's a tool. It's a universal principle that, according to Hill, is available to you, right here, right now. You know the principle. The only real question left is, what are you going to build with it?